Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to this special webinar where we'll be talking about the dual qualification, the certificate level 3 and the certificate level 4, which is offered from the Chisholm Institute in Australia and conducted here at CINEC Maldives campus. My name is Nadish, and I am the program coordinator for this program. And today we have an exciting panel to discuss the inside of this program and the opportunities where the students will be getting in globally wise. So without no ado, I would like to invite Mr. Jay Fleming, the Education Manager, Health and Education Project, to share your knowledge in regarding of this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadish, and it's a pleasure to be invited. It's a long weekend here in Australia this weekend, and it's actually 9:30 p.m. So yeah, we've had to make a few moves, but thank you for the invitation. Regarding this program, it's like with most programs, it always depends on what students want and where they want in the world. So just as a bit of background, last year I had the absolute pleasure of traveling to the Pacific Islands, a little place called Kiribati. On Kiribati, families reside there are four and often five generations under the same roof. So, for instance, in such a society, which generally tend to be known as collectivist societies, there wouldn't really be much of a call for a qualification such as individual support because the families, the generations provide that. So we are speaking of these qualifications this evening in the context of people wishing to travel elsewhere where there is a market for these services. And I can tell you that in Australia, certainly, there is a huge need for individual support, for aged care, and also for the disability sector, of which the Certificate 3 individual support is the minimum entry level qualification, which qualifies students to enter either of those depending on where they feel they are best suited. I have been in this, so I'm speaking to you this evening in my capacity as Education Manager. However, I'm wearing many hats this evening as well. I've been working in this sector for nearly 40 years, and I have been teaching in this sector for nearly 20 years. I still work in the sector. I am tremendously passionate about the sector. So you're looking at someone, I'm approaching my mid-60s. So I've actually had a really, really good constructive career in it. So it's up to anyone listening to this or the recording to sort of have a bit of a coffee and think about where they would like to position their working life. I have never been a thank God it's Friday and oh my God, no, it's Monday type of person. In my humble opinion, anyone who approaches work in that fashion perhaps is in the wrong job. Life is too short to spend wishing for Fridays and hating Mondays. So the global demand for aged care, for disability, for community support is absolutely huge. It used to be, generally speaking, collectivist cultures, more and more generations would stick together. There would often be three, sometimes four generations under the same roof. And as I mentioned in the Pacifics, often five generations under the same roof. That now is decreasing. It has not been, it's been decreasing now for a decade and a half to 2 decades as people more and more go out to work and there is a need for people to find support in the community for community services. And just for this first section of Nadisha's intro about the global demand, I can also say that as of 6 months ago, The aged care sector has had a 25% increase in wages, mainly because in a post-COVID world, much like most societies around the world, the aged care sector was absolutely decimated. And to give you an idea of some of the inequality of remuneration, including in nursing, nurses would often get paid somewhere around 40% less in aged care than they would in acute care. Same qualification. So there has long been a discrepancy, and thankfully, um, you guys are listening to this tonight at a good time where there are also some of those financial rewards that now the sector is being recognised and being respected for the professionals that we are, instead of second-class citizens that it has been before. Sorry, Nadesh, did you want me to keep going or?
Yes, Mr. J, you can keep going.
No worries.
Thank
Um,
you.
just also like to talk about what a TAFE qualification is as opposed to higher learning. I don't think anyone needs to be told about the challenges that, and also the exciting pluses that AI has brought to the education sector, both extractive and generative AI. AI has also brought its challenges, and so much so that our governing bodies for education have now set upon specific integrity measures to make sure that a teacher and educator knows whose work they are actually correcting. No one needs to be told that anyone can access the answers to any assignment online. In fact, a lot of our educational institutions now, as part of the pre-training, are actually students need to complete an integrity module, which also warns them about the very real risk of scammers, because a lot of these places that offer the answers to something then ask for cryptocurrency as a scam later on. Otherwise, they threaten all sorts of messaging to anyone on the contact list. So there are huge challenges with higher ed and with AI. TAFE education, TAFE standing for Technical and Further Education, is, if I had to describe it, I would say it is 75% skills, 25% theory. And that's terribly important because for me as an educator, the main thing that I need to know is that the student actually knows what to do, not that they knew what the correct answer was to question 7, not that they scored a certain mark for test 3 in module 1. That's not important. What is important are the skills. So the TAFE sector is predominantly about skills, and we train people up. This is why in Australia we always endeavour to keep a finger on the pulse of industry. We work hand in glove with industry so that when students roll off the production line with a piece of paper, that they are actually ready to hit the ground running in this universe, not some parallel universe, in this universe, so that if you hire someone with a qual, that they actually are able to perform the duties. And that's where the integrity is so important. So we go through the practical skills observations in practical labs, and also students do 120 hours in this case of work placement or internship. Different places call them different things, so where they get to demonstrate or do three-dimensionally what they have been speaking about two-dimensionally in the classroom. And that work placement is integral to the gaining of those skills. And we genuinely want for the student to feel confident when they get out in the workplace, that they are confident in their skills, rather than that they've simply got ticks everywhere for all the exams, but really they still lack that confidence. And in my humble opinion, um, any organisation that produces students like that, frankly, have not done their job. And this is why we take our task very, very seriously, and we help the students with their confidence level so that they can put their best foot forward to represent themselves best, obviously the organisation, and to build their own brand for their CV and future resumes as well as they progress forward. So that's the TAFE difference. In my day, TAFE was called technical school, and to be a little probably too direct, smart kids went to high school, dumb kids went to tech school. You don't need me to tell you there's no such thing as a dumb kid. No such thing. So obviously there were some very derogatory attitudes back then. There are many, many fantastic careers that are had from the TAFE sector, and frankly, some not so great ones from higher ed. So simply undertaking a qual from higher ed and chasing that higher standing often doesn't really amount to the rewards that someone thinks that it does. And conversely, many reach great heights following on from a TAFE education, simply because it is so hands-on. Brief description of the course. The course itself for a Certificate 3, any Certificate 3 in the Australian TAFE sector, Certificate 3, you'll find words like participate. In Certificate 4, you'll find words like supervise or oversee. Certificate 5, you'll find words like analyze. So the higher up it goes, the more responsibility and accountability there is for the roles. So the Certificate 3, they are 6-month courses. And in fact, I will also be starting teaching a class. And by the way, they're 6 months if it's full time. So I'll start teaching next Tuesday, a brand new class. They will start doing their placement in September, for instance. And so that will complete. It just gives you an idea of the time frame. And we do try to fit around as much as is humanly possible students' other life portfolios as well. Their personal portfolios, many are also undergoing financial stress, so they are working. And so we do try to be flexible and to adapt, but also while maintaining integrity of the qualification. The work opportunities, as I mentioned at the start, in aged care and disability are absolutely huge. There is also great opportunity to set up under the NDIS, the National Disability Insurance Scheme, to become a provider once a person has developed a track record in the sector, and that doesn't take a long time, maybe 1 or 2 years to get some of that experience. There is also, and why I mentioned there's a range, predominantly it's aged care and disability secondary. There are people that prefer aged care. They don't want to work in the disability sector because they might feel sorry for people with disabilities. There are people that prefer to work in the disability sector. They don't wish to work in the aged care sector because, frankly, they don't wish to be confronted with what's at the end of the conveyor belt for all of us in our lives. There are people that love childcare, and so you get the drift. Everyone's suited to something, and so this is what the main challenge for any of us choosing what to do Monday to Friday is to find something that actually fulfills our souls, that has us putting our head on our pillow at the end of the day, knowing that we've contributed to the greater good, and that has us bounding out of bed of a morning rather than something totally different than that. The other opportunities that are available are also in community services. So just saying the individual support qualification is a good entry level, and from there it's an opportunity to have a bit of a look-see at which point of the compass the trajectory might suit your individual skill sets, your individual family history, your individual passions. Each of anyone studying anything has a certain fire in their belly about something. For instance, and I shared earlier with Pragit, I grew up with domestic violence. I have a particular fire in my belly about domestic violence. I regularly accompanied my mother to hospital from about age 10. I have worked with many victims of domestic violence since, and it is a particular passion of mine. And so in the community services sector, you get the opportunity to work widely with many members of the community, including those that are overcoming substance abuse, including people that are coming out of incarceration, including refugees, asylum seekers, domestic violence. So there's the opportunity to branch out. So this humble qual is an entry level, and if someone is extremely happy working in aged care and that's where they wish to stay, fantastic. But I'm just saying there are many options for people to choose from. The potential career pathways, there are quite a few. If someone chooses to want to stay, because as we know, the higher up you go in any qualification, the further away you get from the reason why we actually got into the field in the first place, the further away we get from the actual people that we are caring for. Incidentally, when I use the word caring, it means something totally different in this context. In individual support, in community services, in aged care, we do not offer the hotel model of care. If you and I are in a hotel, we expect to be waited on hand and foot. That's what we've paid our money for. If you and I receive that sort of service for a week, 2 weeks, might feel good initially, any longer than that, we'd actually start getting a bit sick. The human being is made to move. The human being is made to feel of use. So in any of the care sector industries, we don't help people, we help people to help themselves. We don't do things for people, we help people to do things for themselves as much as they can do safely. If a client can do something 85%, personally, as a worker, I'm not going to steal that 85% from them. No, I will simply make up the other 15%. It is good for them to think about what they're going to do. Their limb is reaching out to do this thing. Chemicals and electrical impulses are happening. The very last thing I would wish to do is simply to be a task-oriented person and simply perform that task for the person. So person-centered, person-oriented means the person comes first. We do everything that the person cannot safely do for themselves. Whatever they can do safely for themselves, we let them do. So in that respect, I guess, the field is probably a little bit harder than when I stepped in about 40 years ago, because back in those days, if there was a task to be performed, you did it. If there was a meal to make, you did it. But now, if I'm chopping up a carrot, and if the resident is able to assist with preparing some other veggies for that evening meal, why am I doing everything for them? And this again, we have had many issues with this as well, because in many cultures, including in the South Pacific, in the Pacifics, in Kiribati, where I'm from, if someone of a related family saw me inviting someone 2 generations older than me to help with the evening meal, they would think it was enormously disrespectful. And I totally get that. So again, this is where cultures learn from each other. So in aged care, our prime goal is to delay the loss of independence. So if I'm doing everything for the person, I'm actually promoting dependence. I'm not promoting independence. In the disability sector, our goal is primarily to promote independence. And clearly, in community services, if someone's life has gone off track, we're assisting them to get their own life back on track. So as you can see, it's probably a long-winded way of saying we're not here to fix people. We are not here to work with some poor less fortunates. We're actually here to deliver, to work with people in a dignified manner that actually makes them feel good about themselves. And for anyone listening that has actually received care, you know what it's like to feel helpless. And so we want to reduce that in this sector as much as possible. So why it's exciting working in this sector is you actually become part of clients' journeys rather than someone doing dishes or preparing meals. Everyone gets excited about waking up in the morning, going to work and being part of someone's journey, helping them get to where they wish to go. And if that's a 91-year-old in an aged care facility, you might think, what possible journey could they have? What possible goals? Trust me, they do. And when workers feel that they don't, it often is a reflection of a worker's own lack of goals and perhaps forward thinking. So I mention this as a backdrop, and clearly I get passionate about these things, and that's why I've lasted so long, and that's what still keeps me excited and also in front of class. Incidentally, some of the career progression, if you like, in aged care, it is very easy to progress to um, running activities for residents in aged care settings. That is paid at a higher rate than, for instance, people who perform personal care. It is also possible to wish to do further study in nursing, to be a nursing unit manager in aged care, and it can progress onto being a manager of the facility as well. In the disability sector, it's very possible to work your way up to a supervisor, a facility supervisor. So in the disability sector, we often have what we call supported accommodations services, where there's about 4 or 5 residents that live together in the same house, and there is a supervisor that supervises a whole bunch of staff that work on rotating shifts. The supervisor's remuneration and role is actually a highly skilled, and it's a fairly well remunerated position. So that is an opportunity. So I'm just saying it's not just a matter of you do the qual and that it's simply about the ground level stuff of changing a few pads, putting a washing machine on and preparing a meal. Yes, that's certainly part of it. It's part of everyone's life, but there are any number of progressions that things can lead to. And so those potential career pathways, and again, if someone is quite happy to be, and we have many people coming from high-powered positions where they have had a lot of pressure and they don't want any more pressure, and that's perfectly fine. Everyone is looking for something at a certain time in their life, so there is something for everyone. If someone is really up for a challenge and they wish to pursue some of those other pathways, that's perfectly fine. If someone is, we have people coming from higher positions, often with triple PhDs and running multi-million dollar facilities, and they're quite happy just to relax their soul. In other words, they are there for all the right reasons, and they are simply quite happy to be on this level. It doesn't mean they wish to underperform. Everyone is looking for some little missing piece of a jigsaw for their life at this moment. So I hate to sort of sound like, psychology 101, but there is a little bit of that about what is in it, and it'll be different things for different people. Regarding how an aged care or a disability qualification or individual support can add value to a profile. They're actually highly sought after. They look really good on a CV in that they are full of so-called soft skills. Soft skills, I think, pretty much downplays them, because soft skills are all about the teamwork. It is all about the financial literacy. It is um, all about problem solving. And there's about 8 of them, and routinely we drip feed them into every single module. Any of these humanities fields look mighty good on a resume. They also involve liaising with industry. Liaising with industry is fantastic for networking, not only because it actually helps the students gain some contacts for their future, helps the organization, but the uh, person that is networking, they also develop a reputation, whether it's on a platform like LinkedIn or whatever your platform of choice is. You very quickly develop a reputation. And routinely, we give each other references as we move from facility to facility, from organization to organization. Working in the humanities fields is also fantastic for anyone who uh, values family. Uh, I have been married 40 years. I have a couple of girls pushing 40. We have 5 grandchildren, ranging from 18 to 10. So I'm very much a family person. The family theme resonates with me when I have worked with people that have been homeless, when I have worked with people whose children have, whose parents have been taken away from them, and they are, that very much resonates with me. So my personal theme, I'm not a loner. Family is everything to me. And so to me, and I've just come back from China last week. I regularly travel, and I know that cultures have different traits. So any culture where family is important and where people are setting themselves up for flexibility for their family, because we all know that you only get one chance to watch your kids grow up. If we're always away and we only, we're so busy, swapping our time for dollars to buy things, and before we know it, they've sort of grown up just like that. So the flexibility associated with a field like this is absolutely enormous. You can literally tailor the work life around your own personal life. And so that is also a huge plus. Um, and any of the humanities fields, anyone who's cares about the brand that you're building or curating, those soft skills are extremely highly regarded because it does involve diplomacy. It involves quite numerous meetings, phrasing things appropriately, collaborating with others, being accountable for results, um, writing things appropriately with a proper tone without causing issues in a team, which can greatly impact client outcomes. And just finally, about Chisholm. Chisholm's location where we are in the southeast pocket of Melbourne, extremely multicultural area. We have just under 200 cultures. In fact, I think it's about 180. I'm not sure if anyone else from Chisholm's with us, probably not. I think it's something like 180, 186. In Australia, there are over 200 cultures. So in Australia, we ourselves have come a long way from between 1900 and 1972, we were known as the white man's working paradise. That's how it was marketed. And so between 1972, when the White Australia policy ended under Gough Whitlam, to now 2025, in just 5.5 decades, we've become one of the most multicultural places on the planet. So we're actually in a very fortunate situation in that we are blessed because the world has come to us and we can all learn from each other and each other's normal, I guess. And all cultures have something to learn from each other. So Chisholm's affiliation with both the state and the federal government is enormous in that we try to liaise as much as is possible to learn from other organizations, educational organizations in other parts of the world, because everyone and I'm not just being fashionably humble here by saying this. I have learned a lot from our partners in China. I've just come from Changchun Medical College last week. We've been running a program with them for over nearly 2 decades now. Last year, it was the electrical programs. This year, I happen to be in something that is actually my passion. It's actually the humanities field. So I've landed on my feet this year. But depending on how this partnership proceeds, all parties can learn from each other and to grow. And that is where we really benefit from. And so if there is an opportunity for us to present some options and a vision for any of the students that are attending this evening synchronously or listening to the recording asynchronously, happy to answer any questions about what that might look like. Any questions that are outside perhaps of my knowledge, I will consult with the practitioners because I wish to give correct, accurate responses rather than what I think might be the response. So I will liaise about any questions that I may not have the answer to. So Nadish, I think that's sort of what I roughly want to say. It's difficult to know how deep to go on things, especially in an event such as this. But I'm happy to go deeper on anything, however you wish.
Yes, so we'll be having a Q&A session. So thank you so much, Mr. J, for sharing your knowledge and sharing your experience throughout the people who are willing to join for this program. I think everyone who is listening this program right now and going on live, I think they got a full initial idea of what this program is up for. From I think from A to Z, you gave a complete idea of it. So thank you so much, and also, we would like to invite Ms. Pavani Kuragama, the head of Department of Health and Medical Science at CINEC campus. Ms. Pavani, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. So it's truly my pleasure to be speaking with you all today. Thank you, Jay, and thank you, Nadish. So I'm Pavani Kuragama, and I'm here to proudly introduce you to CINEC campus and also our incredible faculty health sciences, and also the Department of Health and Medical Sciences, especially the program that Jay has been describing on the dual qualification in Certificate 3 in individual support, which is specialized in aging care and disability care, and also Certificate 4 in disability support. So let's start from the beginning to give you an idea about what is CINEC campus. So it was established in 1990. It was started as a training center for the maritime professionals, but now it has grown more into a respected, fully fledged private university with different faculties. So as CINEC proudly say that we go beyond a graduate. So it's not just about getting a qualification, but it's about becoming someone truly ready to make a difference when they go to work or when they go to the society. So our main campus is located in Malabar, so just a short drive from Colombo, Sri Lanka. And we do have branches in Trincomalee, Jaffna, and also in Nugget. So the Malabar campus where this program will be held is designed with student and life and learning in mind. So we do have spacious and well-equipped lecture halls, laboratories tailored to each faculty and for each program. And also we do have comprehensive library and also computer labs and also student dining, student learning and recreational spaces. And also CINEC campus, we do have more than 200 programs with over 20,000 students per year. So we do have international affiliations like with the Chisholm Institute and also some other universities from Australia, UK, and many more. So when we talk about the faculties that we do have two maritime related faculties. So maritime science, which is into navigation side, and also maritime engineering, engineering and technology, faculty of management and social sciences. We do have faculty of humanities and education, faculty of sciences, and we have a department of aviation with professional training and also aircraft maintenance engineering. And we do have International Hotel School and, of course, our Faculty of Health Sciences. So when we talk about my faculty, so where we have this program, the Faculty of Health Sciences. So it's one of the most vibrant and forward-thinking faculty that we have at CINEC. So it is established with a clear goal to educate and train people and to inspire the next generation of healthcare professionals, Sri Lankali, and also for the international status. So our faculty is built on 4 key pillars. Like there are sound programs with local and international standards, and we make sure that, like Jay said, it's all about 75% about training and 25% of theory. Even though it's other degree programs and high diploma programs that we have, we make sure that the hands-on experience and practical experience is given to the students. And we do have qualified and passionate lecturers, and we make sure that we have a strong commitment for the community care and ethical practices. So in our faculty, we do have a biomedical sciences program, pharmacy and pharmaceutical programs, cosmetic and postgraduate programs, and most importantly, in our Department of Health and Medical Sciences sector, we do have programs, industry-ready programs like individual care, disability support, nursing, and also mental health. So this program, I'm not going to go into detail about the 2 programs that we talked about, the dual qualification program, the certificate 3 in individual support and certificate 4 in disability support. So each of these programs are 6 months, like Jay said, for full time, it's 6 months. And in that program, there is an internship. Actually, there's a clinical experience that student will be getting. So CINEC makes sure that we make sure that students find a good place to go for the clinical experiences that will meet the standards of the TAFE qualification, the Chisholm Institute Australia. And the practical lab that we have a nursing skills laboratory in our Faculty of Health Sciences, which is a simulator of a real hospital. So they simulate the patient beds with advanced mannequins for CPR training and also any other care practices. And also vital signs monitors, clinical training equipments, and all the other teaching aids that allow the students to practice safely before they go to the clinical placements and also before they go enter for the professional career. So this lab gives the students for the confidence, their skills, and it prepares the real scenarios they will face during their internship and also professional careers. So that's about the practical that the students will be getting. And when I talk about the teaching approach, so the people, especially the lecturers who are delivering this course, we are being given the training, TAE training of Certificate 4 of Training and Assessment by Chisholm Institute. All the lecturers who are doing this dual qualification program, delivering this program, are being trained by Australian Chisholm Institute. So, and also we make sure that they do have a bachelor's degree, master's degree, and some of them are having PhDs too. And we don't just teach, we make sure we mentor and we guide the students throughout their each step. And we make sure that their academic and professional journey is met as they required and they hope. So that's about CINEC and that's about the Faculty of Health Sciences. So this program will be delivered by our faculty. So to wrap up, so CINEC campus and Malabé is more than just a place to study. So I welcome you all and thank you very much for your time. So I look forward to your questions. Thank you. Thank you, Nadish.
Thank you, Ms. Pan. Thank you for sharing your knowledge as well as about a brief idea about CINEC campus. So now we step into a time that anyone in the meeting right now who is willing to ask any questions, because as we see the students' questions, because like at this time of students have a lot of questions to ask. Like if we see questions like how can we study after doing the certificate level 3 and 4? I think Mr. J answered it completely. And further going more, students will be trying to do their bachelor's and meanwhile do a program like this. So while going abroad, uh, finding their part-time jobs. So, Jay, how can you give us further more knowledge about in that aspect, like a student who is willing to doing a bachelor's in Australia and who is willing to do a bachelor's in Australia and finding a pathway like this? How can you give us a further more guidance about that path?
So it is quite possible to listen to recordings asynchronously. In fact, we offer online as well. And in many ways, Nadish, the online aspect, online is often viewed rather negatively. But for instance, in the class on Tuesday, that is the brand new one that I'm starting, I have 28 students. When I stand in front of them and when I offer, them to ask questions, um, there may be a reticence to ask the question. However, when we record and when someone can be listening to a recording of a class in a supermarket car park while they're waiting for their partner to finish the shopping, and they can replay something 2 or 3 times until they have really crystallized it in their mind. Whereas if I have said it in the classroom, they're unlikely to ask me, excuse me, could you just repeat that last bit? I didn't quite understand that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it is, and clearly the temptation is for any of us while we are setting up our life to really burn the candle at both ends, to really run ourselves ragged and to work and to study the higher degree and to study something like this. So just saying, there are no real shortcuts, but there is the opportunity to adapt the learning. And quite often, some of our students work 2 jobs, and they might get between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. to listen to recordings and really flesh out the responses to 4 or 5 questions. And also during our tutorials, they will send me messages, for instance, and I will make sure. So even if someone hasn't been able to attend class, they are welcome to ask me, could you please further explain assessment task 2, question 7? I just don't understand the question. And I can address that in the next recording that again, they can replay in the supermarket car park without ever having attended. So I suppose in 21st century world, it's quite possible to have this non-traditional learning method that certainly wasn't around in the 60s and 70s, where it was just traditionally attending a classroom. But I guess it still relies on that hard work, because earning a living and also assisting with family, as many people do, and often people have parents that are challenged with health, grandparents that are challenged with health. Many of our students have children as well, and also they are working, so they're being tugged on all sides while still furthering themselves. So I have a lot of respect for the way that they invest their time, and we try to do everything humanly possible to support that time investment for them. Sorry, that was a very long-winded response to a short question, Nadish.
Thank you so much. And one more question, like, so when we take a few years back, we had a pandemic called COVID-19. At that time for period, how could this students who have been so take for an example, for students who pursue this program, how could this be an opportunity for any kind of a scenario could happen in the future?
Well, for instance, during the pandemic, I was actually teaching Certificate 4 in mental health, and we had to do our client interviews and simulations and role plays in breakout rooms. And conversely, at that same time, in another institute, I needed to assess 7 cohorts of 3 students and had to wipe down the touch points between each cohort of students. So there are different ways. In my opinion, it is far more effective if it's done face to face in a physical classroom, because, well, especially in mental health consults, it's about where we sit the person. It's about projecting, which it's very difficult to do in the breakout room. But there are certain things that even in this course that we teach here, students will be coming in once a fortnight into labs to practice their practical skills in our labs. So the bulk of it, if there was to be another pandemic, the bulk of it would be online, and then we would do the same touch point clean down, for instance, that we did for those breakout rooms. But we actually get students in our classes. We get students to do patient transfers. We get them to lift each other up in slings, transfer from bed to chair. We get them to feed each other yogurt. We get them to brush each other's teeth. We get them to put pads on each other, obviously fully clothed. The reason we do that is not to humiliate, it's to actually get them to have an understanding of how a resident may feel, and to really be able to empathize. And Nadish, I'm not sure if you've ever had anyone brushing your teeth, mate, but there is no one more qualified on the planet than you to know when to stop brushing that back right molar. And when someone's in there and they're doing that, that's where we find that the practicals as students really benefit. So for things like that, obviously the online would be a bit challenging, but we would need to obviously adapt. So hopefully there won't be another pandemic soon.
Yes, thank you. And one more question to Ms. Pavani as well. Like the students who were willing to do this program over here and who is also would like to stay over here, what are the opportunities that they also will able to do as a professional career over here?
Actually, even though it is an Australian program, we make sure that we give the skill that is needed to look after people with disabilities and also people who are in old age. So I think there is a huge demand for the caregiving, and also there are opportunities. So the students can work in those kind of facilities in Sri Lanka too. Yes.
And just to add to that, we teach the regulations, and clearly we have our aged care quality standards and also the disability service standards. And this is the regulatory parameters are one of I guess, the more challenging pieces of the qualification to teach, because we need to teach how it is here, but also we're mindful that the student may well be carrying this out over there where there are different regulatory parameters. And so we try and present a little bit of both. We've actually found people really interested to actually not compare as to whose is better, but they're just different. And it's actually good to get that insight.
Thank you, Ms. Pavani. Thank you, Mr. J. So, before we end, we would like to thank you everyone who has joined to us this evening, and especially thank you, Mr. J and Ms. Pavani, for sharing your knowledge and giving a lot of insight out of this program. So, there's a special notice as well that we do have a special registration fee discount for the registration fee, and that is a limited option for whoever is watching us today and whoever will be watching the recordings as well. And before we wind up, we see a lot of people who is willing to do this program and who has questions about this program as well. I think all the questions and all the doubts were cleared after this brief session we had. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone who joined. Especially thank you, Mr. J. Thank you, Ms. Pavani. And thank you for all people who joined us. And have a pleasant evening and see you soon. Thank you.